It's a black screen with an audio.
Yeah, he'd be able
At least
to
they
do it.
captured it. It's hard. I appreciate everything that you do. Okay. Yeah? Okay. Great.
In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place at the town hall at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Roll call.
Allison Canfield,
Here.
Michael Cohen,
Here.
Deborah Nevis,
Here.
Frank Sagamonte,
Here.
Sue Joffrey-Shawn.
Here.
Srini Vijay.
Here.
David Cosgrove,
Here.
Michael Zion.
Here.
Gaston Halbert.
Here.
That's all.
Here. Our first order of business tonight is the review of the minutes from our February 7th, 2024 meeting. They were distributed last week. Thank you. Eileen, did you receive any edits or
I
corrections?
did not.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or corrections on the February 7th meeting?
Eileen, was I on that as having voted? Because I had recused. I did not vote.
On the minutes.
No, for the,
The resolution,
For the
it was just a
resolution.
resolution. Well, the vote is not on here.
okay. I had
Let me just,
abstained.
You recused from that discussion, I believe.
Yes.
You recused, yeah.
For this,
all right, so I will, yeah, you are listed here as a yes, so I
Yeah,
will,
I had abstained.
okay.
Okay. Great, I move to approve with the correction of Deborah's, you and somebody else also recused? Were there two that you also?
Allison was,
Allison, David.
Allison, you were recused, you didn't abstain. You were.
She recused
Right,
herself.
so it was Allison
Allison,
and
Deborah,
David.
and David.
Okay.
Great,
Okay.
and do the notes reflect all three? Okay.
Yeah, they are not voted.
They will, okay, I move to approve with that correction. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gaston. All in favor? Oppose? And anybody who was not present can recuse from approval. Thank you. Meeting minutes from February 7th are approved. Our next order of business tonight is a final review and public hearing on the open space and recreation master plan element. Graham, I invite you as our board planner to come forward and just walk us through the memo that you had most recently shared or provide any updates and changes since your last presentation.
Madam Chair, with your permission, I'll swear him in since it is a public hearing.
Thank you.
You'll raise your right hand. And, do you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Sure. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. Graham Petto here this evening as Board Planner and Township Planner. Happy to share and open the public hearing for final adoption of the open space and recreation element of the Township Master Plan. This is a process that began just under a year ago, so happy to see this conclusion here this evening. We did issue a memo back on March 8th to the board, which I think was circulated via email, but I also will read it into the record here for your benefit this evening, which kind of summarizes what we've heard so far in this process and a couple of final updates that were made following the presentation that was given back on February 7th. So at the February 7th, 2024 meeting of the Planning Board, I presented the Open Space and Recreation Master Plan element to the board for discussion in advance of this public hearing this evening, and any potential action on the plan element by the board. During the course of the presentation, members of the board, as well as members of the public, provided recommendations for revision to the plan element content. We have incorporated this feedback into a revised version of the plan element, which is the version that was circulated for public notice this evening, or for public hearing this evening. And this memorandum that I'm reading here serves to summarize the scope of such amendments. We remain available to answer any questions that the board may have regarding content analysis and recommendation of the plan element. And I just want to note that this memo is posted and has been on the Planning Board's page of the Township website, and is available for public view as well. So first, on the acknowledgement section on page 2, we did update to reflect the 2024 roster of elected officials and professionals and members of this board as well. So those are all current now with year 2024. Number 2, the additional prospective land section specifically pertaining to Glenwood School Forest on page 39. We have revised that language to clarify that given constraints from wooded areas and steep slopes, that limited walking trails may be recommended or identified as an improvement, however, being cognizant of those constraints within the area. Number 3, regarding the vacant lands analysis that's included on page 43 of the plan, we did qualify that the prior recommendation that the township not pursue vacant land acquisition for provision of parks and open space, instead stating that those vacant properties identified do not appear conducive to park planning, and further providing considerations for the township in further evaluating those vacant properties. And then a second point to that, in that clarification, that we added a clarifying paragraph that differentiates and distinguishes the plan elements vacant lands analysis from the vacant land adjustment, which is conducted as part of the municipality's housing element fair share plan. We wanted to ensure that distinction so there's not confusion between the plans. And then finally, item number 4, I want to thank Mr. Cohen for providing support in this area. Improvements to existing facilities, collaboration with the Milburn Free Public Library on pages 47 through 48. In collaboration with the director of the public library, as well as Mr. Cohen, we've revised this section content to incorporate the library's 4-year strategic plan and better reflect the library's role within the township's organizational context and how it would be situated as a potential facility to support recreational opportunities within the township.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, no, I appreciate those conversations. Were very, very helpful. So that is the set of changes that we've made since the presentation back on February 7th. I'm happy to answer any questions or any further clarifications should the board have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
And it's a tremendous amount of work, did an excellent job at, but the genesis for starting this, and it needed to be done because it was so old, but the genesis for this was the debate we were having at the time about par3 and maybe eliminating that and putting in a cricket pitch there or other fields or whatever. It got contentious, and all of that seems to have sort of resolved itself on its own in ways independent of this effort. So I'm glad that we did this, but I lost the connection between the cause for starting this and how we, here we are today.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think at the highest level, that this plan element now, upon adoption, provides the roadmap for future scenarios to address that and mitigate those circumstances before they come to a head in the public forum. This document now allows for the township to follow kind of a path to say, this is what we have a need, where can we meet those needs? You have a rubric and a framework within this open space plan to execute those decision-making trees to follow something that has been, adopted by this board and vetted by the public as well. So if that helps.
Okay. And I'm glad those things settled themselves.
As well.
Did you have a question or no? Okay.
No, sorry, yeah, just.
You're allowed to stretch too.
Actually, if no other board members have a question, I have one question, Graham, if I may.
Please.
Graham, in your opinion, would this element be consistent with the goals and objectives of the overall master plan? And would you opine that it guides the use of lands in the municipality in a manner which protects the public health and safety and promotes the general welfare?
I would, yes.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good to be on the planning purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Okay, at this time, we would open up to members of the public if anybody has any comments or to provide testimony on the element. And it is a testimony, right?
Yes, I'll swear you in.
Might as well.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And name and address for the
All
record.
right. Jeffrey Feld, 11 Alexander Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. The only question, it's really a comment and question, because when we talk about the Genesis, when we get to like the book of Deuteronomy, something occurred in between, I think, your presentation, the concept of maybe an open space tax. And the question I have is, will this report be used to allow us to do that? Because there was a presentation, I think, by the Environmental Commission, and they started talking about vacant land. And I don't know if you compared their presentation and the numbers that they used to your report. And I didn't have an opportunity to talk about it when we were here last, I think, in March, on February 7th. We talked about, I'm very happy explaining the difference about VLA, but I just hope that there's some consistency someone can look at, because there was a presentation about the open space tax, and they were talking about how much open space is in the town and that could be used. And I just hope that the numbers sort of correspond, that they're not, apples and orange, Mars and Venus. That's the only thing really to comment. I appreciate, what went on, the genesis of this whole thing. And hopefully we'll have some clarity, especially as to how VLA works. Thank you.
Thank you. Great points. We can share that back with the environmental commission, certainly, and they've been aware of this ongoing process, so, thank you. Any other members of the public comment? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion regarding this? And I think I know where you're going, go for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the board is aware, my apologies for the 11th hour, as well as a typo I'll mention in a moment, but we did draft a resolution for the board, assuming that the board does wish to adopt this element. That's how that resolution reads. You can adopt the resolution. And I thank Eileen for the noticing, all of which was done for this public hearing, and Graham for his presentation and his opinions. And if it is the board's desire to adopt the master plan, you can do it by way of motion, second roll call vote to adopt this particular resolution. The plan would be amended to it. Probably, I feel more like this would be amended to the plan. The plan is much more significant. And with one change, and that being the correct county planning board being referenced in section 3. My apologies for that. I just caught that.
Essex County, yep.
Yep.
Great.
So with that, I leave it to the board.
Great. I will move to, approve the amended master plan, open space, and recreation plan element, appended, with the resolution of adoption. Is that
That's
phrase
more than
well
enough,
enough?
Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Who was that?
Tree.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Michael Cohen,
Yes.
Deborah Nevis,
Yes.
Frank Sagamundi,
Yes.
Sujatha Shan,
Yes.
Srini Vijay,
Yes.
David Cosgrove,
Yes.
Gaston Halbert,
Yes.
that's all.
Yes. With thanks, the element is approved and now part of our master plan. And thank you to those who served on the subcommittee. Graham, a year's worth of work is no insignificant amount, so thank you. With that said, we have no further orders of business tonight. Our next meeting as of now is scheduled for May 1st. Eileen, do we have applications completed as of yet?
Not yet.
And do we know if there's any ordinances anticipated to be introduced? that
Not
we
for
would
May
like to take
1st,
action
it
on?
would be until the May 6th meeting of the planning board, so we'll do it at our May
15th.
18th. I think they're doing definitions, they're doing something. I know there was an ordinance that's gonna be ready.
Okay, so stay tuned. We may have a meeting on May 1st. We'll keep it until next week until we know for sure if there's anything. And at that point, we would do a notice, if not possibly the 15th. I move to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. 7:46. Good night.
Put that in the minutes, all right?